What's going on, everybody? BobbyFi flying solo today because my man Sheets is out. I thought we'd do a quick rundown of the slate, and I will be live with you guys at 6 Eastern, and we can touch up on some things because I have a feeling we're going to hear about a ton of news that we don't have yet, which has just sort of been the norm for these big slates. So I'm ready for that. Just starting off with priority plays. I think that on DraftKings specifically, Josh Hart stands out as a ridiculously good play at 5K. I really like that Detroit-New Orleans game. I think that the total might even be a little low on there for where it should be. On the other side, I love Joval, more of a priority on FanDuel, but certainly a guy we want to play on DraftKings. I think Cody Martin and all this Charlotte situation is certainly something to look into. It's a really good game environment. It's the first game of the night with a couple other with the Dallas Indy game, but they haven't raised the prices enough on these guys yet. And I think this is a good time to fade Nick Richards, to possibly play Book Night, depending on what his ownership ends up as, to potentially fade Cody Martin, although he played 43 minutes the other day. It's really hard to fade those minutes. But I want to try to get off of some of these guys, but it is kind of hard in this matchup. I think Miles Bridges stands out as a guy in this matchup who I want to get some pieces of for sure. I think that Gordon Hayward is extremely viable, and now after no one wanted to play him when this situation first came up, he's looking like a good play. Kelly Oubre has just been going nuts and sort of running the show. So all of those guys are definitely interesting to me. Maybe a little bit of a lower owned guy. You could take a look at JT Thor. I don't think they're going to need as much size against Sacramento that they did against Philly, who they had to play twice in the situation. So maybe downgrade Richards and Thor a little bit and play more of the other guys. And then on the other side of that game, I think you can spin the wheel with whatever for Sacramento. It's a great matchup, and I actually really like Buddy Hield in this spot. So I want to get some shares there. I think that just the 3-point shooting upside, even though he's been really bad, but the real play is Terrence Davis, who I think is one of my priority plays on the slate. Harrison Barnes should be getting back to his normal minutes. He's a strong play. De'Aaron Fox is at an affordable price in a good game environment. Halliburton's looked good lately. At a monster game the other day. So I would just say Sacramento, Charlotte as a whole game, you kind of want to target. But the problem is it is the first game. The good news is we don't have so many late games. There's only 8 Eastern after that. You don't have to worry too much about it. But that's a game you could target. The Brooklyn Atlanta game looks like a game on paper that you want to target. Then you figure out, how are we actually doing this? Are we playing Trey with one of KD or Harden? I think that's fine. Maybe not my favorite thing. I do think Clint Capella gets overlooked here. And I like Capella quite a bit at 7,700. I think there's upside for him against this Brooklyn team, and I think we could get a 50+ fantasy point game out of him. And John Collins should be in play as well. But those are Capella would be my favorite there. The other game I want to target is the Detroit-New Orleans game, as I was mentioning. I really like a guy who I don't usually play, Jeremy Grant, and I really like Cade Cunningham in this game environment. I think that New Orleans defense has been really, really bad. I mentioned Joval already and Josh Hart. I think Brandon Ingram's another way you could go, probably a better play on FanDuel where he's cheaper. And Devontae Graham, who no one is going to play, I think is firmly in play in this matchup. What do we do about the Herbert Jones, showing a little bit of ceiling? I believe in this guy as a player, but I don't think we can count on him, going 8 for 11, making all of the threes that he took. 7 rebounds, that part is going to happen from time to time. I think he's viable, Herb Jones, but I don't think we need to go that far. And then I mentioned the guys I already liked in Detroit. So those are my games that I'd be looking at. And then I do want to get exposure. I mean, I was really disappointed. I thought my Lakers had turned the corner. They looked awful yesterday after a good first quarter. And I think that LeBron is 9,800 is certainly interesting, as is Davis at 9,600 on DraftKings specifically. So those are the guys who I'm looking at. I know that's a lot of names, but these are the guys who I want exposure to tonight. Armani Brooks, I followed that game closely because I don't know why he was so low on the other day at 3,400 in the starting role once they announced him as a starter. But I want to play some more Armani Brooks. He lost minutes to DJ Augustine down the stretch when they had the lead. Oddly, it was weird that they were playing DJ Augustine for defensive purposes, but that's what it seemed like down the stretch. So Augustine got the end, the last run. But Armani Brooks still played 28 minutes, and I think has upside to play more than that tonight. So he's at 4K. He's a very, very strong play in my opinion. I think Eric Gordon could have another good game here. And I like Giannis on the other side. I think he's getting a little too cheap. I mentioned it last time, guys. I said it every time Milwaukee goes to Miami, specifically when they go to Miami, Giannis just absolutely awful every time, every single time without fail. And he put up 31 fantasy points, which was one of the lowest total I've ever seen for him. going back to his normal minutes against a weak Houston team. Will they need it? Who knows? But it's a good spot for Giannis. It's a good get right spot for Giannis. So I like him as a spend up. Probably my favorite spend up at first glance. Some other names that I didn't maybe mention. TLC, I hate to do it. Like, it's the kind of play we should stay away from in general when there's other value. And if there's a better value, fine. But the truth is, he's playing 30 plus minutes and he's in a great game environment against this former team. If he's 30 at 3,200, I think we at least have to take him somewhat seriously. Let's see. I think I mentioned pretty much everybody else on my list. Long shot plays, Marvin Bagley, Sadiq Bey. Those would be the guys I would be targeting for long shot plays. And again, you know, sorry, we not to have this more ironed out, you know, this is our first look video, because it really is hard to know early in the day when there's going to be 100 pieces of news that are going to open up some other stuff. So stick with the game stacks that we like: Sacramento, Charlotte, Detroit, New Orleans, somewhat Brooklyn, Atlanta, but it's hard to get there. I even think that some of the Dallas Indy stuff is kind of interesting, but mostly the first ones I mentioned. And right there, that's I have to get the door in a minute. But anyway, guys, that's sort of just an overall first look at the guys I'm prioritizing. And we will be with you at 6 Eastern and hopefully have a lot more of this slate figured out, because I get the feeling we're going to hear a lot about a lot of news. But as it stands, that's what I'd be targeting. Good luck to everybody out there. Hope you crush it. And we'll see you at 6 Eastern.